Someone in Trouble, Chapter 6. An Olive Branch. After being laid into by Robbie and the shock of Sportacus more or less backing up the curmudgeonly villain, the kids fell into a sullen sort of stupor the next couple of days. They played half-heartedly, more going through the motions than having their usual wild form of fun. In the wake of that off-kilter confrontation, it was like they'd all agreed to give each other space and cool off without having to say so. Sportacus stayed up in his airship, the kids loitered listlessly in the playground, and Robbie removed himself to his lair. As far as Robbie was concerned, the kids could be resentful all they wanted if they were going to do it this quietly. It made for a more peaceful weekend on his part and gave him a chance to rest his aching body. His speakers didn't drop down once for a whole day, a new record. At last he could catch up on his backlog of overdue naps. This was just how he liked it, doing nothing. And he could do it all day, every day. Or maybe not. By the second day, Robbie already felt a restless irritation as he sat back in his furry orange recliner. He drummed his fingers on the arm of the chair, fighting against a persistent itch, not the one on his twitchy nose, but something else. The feeling like he had to be missing something going on over his head in the town if he didn't take a look through his periscope. His eyes squinted with the muscle memory of countless times peering into the viewport as he forced himself to stay in his seat. That itch was getting worse every passing moment. If there was no racket, there was no reason for him to waste his time looking around topside. That was what he wanted to believe. But it felt like the calm before a storm. Very suspicious. Those kids must be up to something. Robbie knew it. They had to be. He lunged up from his recliner and strode up the ramp to his control center. Yanking the periscope down, he leaned in to look, determined to find out what. Aha! Just as he suspected. It hadn't taken any time at all surveying the town to find those gaggle of kids skulking around the sports field. That was just great. They were going back to playing one of their tiresome games, one that was sure to get them in trouble, that Robbie would have to go up there and... "Robbie, is that you?" The pink girl suddenly filled the viewer, seemingly looking all the way down through the periscope and staring back into Robbie's eyes. Robbie let out an involuntary yelp and ducked away from the viewport. Not that she could actually see him. "No, it's not. I'm not here." The periscope gave a jerk side to side in denial on the surface. Gingerly, Robbie peered back into the lens. Stephanie was shaking her head with the suggestion of a scornful grin pulling at her mouth. "I know it's you," she chided. Her tone did not possess the hard edge that Robbie would have expected from her. She sounded almost teasing, in fact. It made Robbie frown. "Fine, it's me," Robbie said sourly. "Now, if there isn't anything else, I've got to be going." It was embarrassing enough to be caught at his surveillance. He didn't want to give her the opportunity to ask too many questions. "Wait," Stephanie quickly said as the periscope started to retract back into the earth. "There is one thing. Don't go." "Fine," Robbie sighed. The periscope crept back up. "What is it?" Stephanie averted her gaze for a second before meeting Robbie's eyes again, a slight crinkle in her brow revealing some awkwardness on her side. "Do you want to come up here and play with us?" "Play? With you?" Robbie could not believe his ears. He gave a knee-jerk reaction, sarcastic and cold. "I couldn't possibly play. I'm far too old, aren't I?" Stephanie winced and chewed on her lip. "I didn't mean all those things I said," she said haltingly, clearly uncomfortable now. "I'm really sorry, really. Won't you come out here, please? Please?" Robbie took a deep breath, ready to refuse even more forcefully, but held it. Was this pink girl's way of trying to extend an olive branch? He considered this for a moment. She was the ringleader of all those other little noisemakers. It would only make things easier on Robbie to humor them in this request, and maybe get on their good side for his troubles. If saving them wasn't enough, this might do the job. Letting the air out slowly from his lungs, Robbie stood up straight, smoothed out his vest and fixed his cuffs, and spoke in as casual a manner as he could muster. "If it will stop your noisy whining," he said, "I suppose I can spare some time and come up, but only for a little while." Stephanie's whole face lit up with relief and pleasure at his acquiescence. "That's great!" she exclaimed. "I'll go tell the others. We'll wait for you right here." "Great," Robbie muttered, pushing the periscope up out of the way. He rubbed at his eyes, as the bubbly girl's smile had all but blinded him. This was not a good idea, he knew. Robbie Rotten did not play. What was he doing, agreeing to this? He growled at himself. Well, there was nothing to do for it now. He would get it over with quickly, and that would be the end of it.